God, Superman, you. And then somehow his big ass get back into the play. Like, bro. Yeah, it's your boy Chefbaker. We back with another reaction video. Today we're going to be reacting to a guy that is very knowledgeable in the game of basketball. I watch his YouTube channel. It's Thinking Basketball. So right now, Thinking Basketball is going to break down some Anthony Davis. And I want to look at this video because I recently on my channel talked about Anthony Davis. I talked about Anthony Davis in regards of people kept calling out Anthony Davis for being day-to-day Davis, but not giving that same energy to Kawhi Leonard. I don't talk about Anthony Davis in the sense of he's one of the generational greatest defensive players, but he's just not as consistent on offense. And also I talked about Anthony Davis when it comes to the fact of Anthony Davis now or last year, whatever, compared to the Anthony Davis in the bubble. Because Anthony Davis in the bubble, he was a different breed, man. Like, for real. But I want to see what Thinking Basketball have to say about Anthony Davis, especially after the recent play of Anthony Davis, the 40-20 game and the in-season tournament and what have you. And also, if you want to, you can go to my community tab where I talked about Anthony Davis a couple weeks ago. We had some good discussions down in here. And right here, I believe it was, yeah, me and this guy, we had like a back and forth. We was breaking down, talking about Anthony Davis, pause if needed, We had a good discussion. I broke down some what I thought about Anthony Davis right here, in a sense. But anyway, without further ado, let's get to this reaction video.
Anthony Davis, does he actually have one of the highest peaks in NBA history?
No.
And it's a little weird because traditionally when we talk about the best players ever, we talk about a season or multiple seasons and playoff runs and, great 82 games. And Anthony Davis to me is not a player who's really ever exhibited the ability to dominate 82 games.
No.
Because with Davis, this guy in a single game, a single series, a single stretch,
can wreak havoc.
Just dominates basketball games and matchups. We saw this in the NBA Cup. Cook up a game plan around Anthony Davis, and you're good to go. And oh, by the way, he had 40 points and 20 rebounds in the game, as well as dominating defensively. What do we make of this? It's weird, right? It's crazy, but also, how many players would you rather have when he's on?
Not many.
Are you talking about both on offense and on defense here?
Well, here's the thing, and we'll get to the defense in a second. But on offense, the thing that's so critical to me is that he takes advantage of mismatches. So
listen, when it comes to defense, ain't nobody I would rather have in the NBA right now, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis to me is the best defender in the NBA. The offense, that's a different story. Offense is what takes him from being a top 10 player, arguably, down to 20th, whatever. But defense, AD.
You cannot switch, casually and think you're going to get away with it, like if he's Rudy Gobert or Evan Mobley or even Jaren Jackson, some of the other top big man defenders in the league. You can't do that because when he's engaged, he will go right to the block. He will have his Bundini Brown, LeBron James, telling him, get right into that guy's chest. Throw the ball inside, pound him, and take advantage of him with your size. And he will do that if you switch. He will do that if you try to play small ball. And so you say, okay, we're in the playoffs. We need a different lineup. We're the Golden State Warriors. We're going to go small and try to use that to our advantage on offense. Anthony Davis is coming right down the court, and he's going right to the post, and he's either going to score, draw a foul, or
that's crazy.
In the championship game of the NBA Cup, he's going to start inhaling offensive rebounds. Don't take lightly grabbing 4, 5, 6 offensive rebounds in a game, because usually that comes with 2 or 3 fouls. He fouled out Miles Turner the other night, practically just on the glass, just trying to keep him off the glass. That's the part, to me, where the offense is connected to the defense, and it's such a big deal in the playoffs because he's like bulletproof. He's almost sort of scheme proof. There's nothing you can do to take that away, really.
I'm glad you said that because his offense, to me, seems so inelastic. Like, the floor it's relatively high. It's not to the point where like you're going to get a great offense out of it, but it's the type of offense that it kind of doesn't matter what sort of defender you put on him down there. He's going to have pretty much the same sort of efficiency, unless there's like a mismatch, and he's able to handle that pretty well. Because, like you said, against Miles Turner, you see a couple of these possessions where he just blows by him. I think when he gets the face-up game from about 16 feet out or so, dribbles, gets a little crossover, and gets to the rim. The extension with his layup or like dunks is just like, if he gets by you, there's no way you're going to be able to catch up to him. Or like
when it comes to Anthony Davis, if he can drive on you like that, then you at his mercy. Because I think the difference between him and Giannis is Giannis can dribble the ball very well for a big guy. He can dribble better than Anthony Davis. Giannis will get the ball on the break, start the break, and dribble down the court in transition and get to the cup. That's why they had to build the wall, right? You don't need to build a wall for Anthony Davis. And since Anthony Davis is such a lob threat, a lot of the times for Anthony Davis to get his offense off, somebody got to pass in the ball. With Giannis, you don't need nobody to pass Giannis the ball. Giannis can take that ball himself off the rebound and take it coast to coast. Anthony Davis don't do that. He needs somebody to pass in the ball. That's why him and LeBron James work well together, because LeBron's a great passer. And then Anthony Davis is a great lob threat. But when you take some of that stuff away from his game, like the lob threat and the pass and all that, like his post game ain't the best. You know what I mean? Like he got a decent post game, but his post game ain't the best. And so if you take away his pick and roll, which has a lot of gravity, and you take away the lob threat, his offensive game, scoring wise, isn't consistent.
Like you said, like he gets a nice little
in my opinion
in the post, spins baseline, and again the length. All of a sudden he's going up around the other side of the basket and finishing it that way. Now the double-edged sword of it all, though, is I feel like the Lakers, when I watch them playing offense, is there's almost too many sets where the play is like, all right, Anthony Davis, here's your post up, here's your ISO from 16 feet. Like we're gonna kind of clear out this side of the floor, and we're going to let you cook a little bit. And unfortunately, cooking for him is shooting 20% from long mid-range for the season.
But
this is
this is what makes it so weird, because when his shot is going, it will go for an entire playoff series or multiple playoff series.
That's the problem. His shot don't be going.
Attribute that specifically to the bubble setting, and it might have contributed
in
to
the
it.
bubble, he was
We did the
crazy.
same thing in the playoffs last year, where the playoffs started, and they play the Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors, and
Bro, in the bubble, he couldn't miss. That man hit a game-winner 3 in the bubble. Like, bro, when it comes to shooting, if his shooting is on, you at his mercy. But his shooting is not consistent. That's one of the reasons why his offensive game is not consistent, because his shooting not consistent. And if he could dribble and get to the paint, that's the reason why I bring up Giannis, because Giannis can't shoot, but the motherfucker's consistent. Why? Because he can get to the paint whenever he want to. Like, bro, when his jump shot is on, though, it's hard to stop Anthony Davis.
he just starts making mid-range shots all of a sudden. And so that is a great point, but how do you weigh that when let's say you're trying to win a championship, you're trying to beat the best teams, and you have some decent probability of getting Anthony Davis just smashing 55% mid-range jumpers over elite defenses in the playoffs out of nowhere, while also conceding that most of the time, and especially during the regular season, he could shoot 35% on these shots, and they're like not really good offense. It's really weird.
Bet the lobs, like I don't know if there's been a better lob finisher in history. And then when he's paired with LeBron James, who's one of the best lob throwers in history, or one of the best pocket pass throwers in history, one of the best, again, just half-court passers in history, that's a dynamic duo that when you have all of that paired in, when you have the offensive rebounds, the rolling to the rim, using his speed, if the jumper's on, oh my God, like we're talking about like competing for the best player in the league, competing for top 3 players in the league. But then it's like the other space of it all, when it's like, what if all of that stuff's not actually happening? What about those playoff games when he has 11 points and 7 rebounds, and not to just like box score watch, but like that's not 40-20. Like there's going to be, with Anthony Davis, he's going to be a bit more valuable if he has 40 points and 20 rebounds as opposed to like 11 points and 7 rebounds or something like that. So
what the hell?
I don't know.
What the fuck shot was that?
2020 postseason. They go to the bubble. They play
out of his mind
the Portland Trailblazers. And in that series, Davis is asked to come out to the level of the screen to deal with Damian Lillard's white-hot pull-up shooting at that time. He was on fire. So he's versatile and mobile enough to do that. Then they go to the Houston Rockets in the next round. In the Houston Rockets series, they cook up a scheme. Remember, that was the micro ball D'Antoni Houston Rockets.
Rose Garden, Russell Westbrook.
They'll put Anthony Davis on Russell Westbrook. Anthony Davis can guard Russell Westbrook in 5-out space as the center, but then also switch and trap and chase James Harden. And they had this trapping scheme. And then he's on the weak side and he can make plays on the weak side and recover all over the place. Then in the finals against the Miami Heat, you mentioned it. You need to guard Bam Adebayo? He can do that.
Bam!
Oh, Jimmy Butler's taking over and he's scoring? We'll just switch him on to Jimmy Butler, even though nominally Davis is the center and Jimmy Butler's a small forward, and he can shut down Jimmy Butler and have a transcendent defensive game.
He's a generational player on defense.
Last year in the playoffs, against the Golden State Warriors, they have this crazy scheme where they're using Davis to catch all the guards and funnel all the guards toward him as they stand on top and push the guards downhill. And that really, really disrupted the Golden State offense. And they went through this whole cat and mouse game of how do we pull Davis out of the paint? And then the Lakers were like, we're not going to involve him in the pick and roll. And it didn't matter. He basically dictated the series defensively because of his presence. Then you go to the Denver Nuggets series. They did not win the Denver Nuggets series. But what did they do in the Denver Nuggets series? They're like, what we're going to do is we're going to have Davis roam off Jokic so he can disrupt the passing lane. And there were a ton of possessions and stretches of that series where that actually worked, where you saw Jokic bothered or committing turnovers that basically no one else in the league can force from him. And
led to that crazy press conference. Oh, we figured him out. And then what happened? They lost. Mike Malone, bro, he was talking shit the whole all season, boy, talking mad trash. That's crazy.
That doesn't even just get into the generalities of the fact that he can play drop coverage, come down the lane, he'll contest a shot.
Oh, he can do it all.
Beautifully. Very, very high level there. He can switch out on the perimeter against small players, and he doesn't give up anything. And in fact, he can really bother small players in that position. In the championship game against the Pacers of the NBA Cup, we saw him trap and then recover behind the play. It's just like he can play any different coverage that you need to deploy. And when you look at the regular season numbers, the stats don't pop defensively. They're good, but they're not like all time. When you get to the playoffs, they tend to look much better, and I think that's the reason why.
Oh, when he's on, he's on.
Pacers game again.
When he's not, he's not.
I don't remember exactly who it was he was closing out in the corner, but somebody kicks to the corner. Somebody that's one of the Pacers has the ball in the corner, and Anthony Davis like jumps out, like full blown, both hands in the air.
God damn, that boy jumped.
The guy off the corner.
God,
like,
Superman, you.
He's not out of the play. Anthony Davis runs.
And then somehow his big ass get back into the play. Like, bro, come on, man.
It's genuinely like GOAT level defensive plays like that.
That's
where
crazy.
When a player starts making those kinds of plays, you have to start thinking like, this is legitimately some of the best defense I've ever seen.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, damn, the video done already?
Full episode of This Thinking Basketball podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify.
But yo, man, that was a nice breakdown of Anthony Davis game, I think. Like, he wreaks havoc on defense. Like, he's a generational talent on defense. We know that. The problem is, offensively, sometimes he's just not as consistent. I think when it comes to Anthony Davis, I think if he doesn't have certain pieces around him, like a person that can pass in Brock, for instance, his offensive game can get limited sometimes. It is what it is, especially if you ain't got shooters around him. Because if you ain't got shooters around him, one of the things about Anthony Davis is his pick and roll. His pick and roll has a lot of gravity because you know he's so effective in the paint. And if you don't got decent shooters around him, people just gonna, creep off the help, do help defense and help out the non-shooters and then clog the paint with Anthony Davis, right? So, yeah, man, I think this was a great video. If you want to see more reactions, you know what I'm saying? Do your boy a favor, drop a like, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and we done with another reaction video. Your boy out. Peace.